Hello everyone. I welcome you once again to my series of lecture that is Understanding Pharmaceutical Science with Dr. Hariharan. So today we are going to discuss about one of the important structure of the bacteria, that is its flagella. So I have divided this lecture into three major parts. So one, we will understand about the structure of the flagella. Second, we will understand about the movement of the flagella and a slight demonstration about the chemotaxis. Third, we will discuss about the classification of the bacteria based on the flagella structure. So first we will understand a little bit about the bacteria. So everybody knows that bacteria is an unicellular microorganism. So its structure is basically prokaryotic in nature. So as you very well know that prokaryotic means it is a Latin term. Pro means primitive, karyon means nut cell. That means the bacteria having a primitive internal cell membrane type of structured organelles, right? If you see the bacteria, it only contains the cell wall. So in the cytoplasm, you doesn't find any definite structure like nucleus or a mitochondrial structure. Simply the DNA genetic material will be present at a concentrated at a particular area of the cytoplasm, because it does not have an well organized internal cell membrane structures. So like if you see in eukaryotes, the nucleus carries the nuclear membrane, inside the DNA will be present. So it does not have it. So the bacteria is a typical example of a prokaryotic cell structure. So if we study about the cell structure of a bacteria, we can classify into three areas majorly. So one is the structure external to the cell wall. So today we are going to discuss about one of the structure that is external to the cell wall, that is flagella. Second, we will discuss elaborately about the cell wall, which is to be studied. So I have given in a separate video on this cell wall. And third is the certain structures which is present internal to the cell wall, like cytoplasmic membrane, vacuoles, storage vacuoles, etc. So if you see a typical bacteria, so you can see from this picture, it carries a cell wall, right? This one is the brown color one I have drawing is the cell wall, and certain structure which is external to the cell wall is major one is flagellum that we are going to discuss today. So apart from that, the small hair-like structure we called as fimbriae, or sometimes some pili will be present. And covering outside to the cell wall, we have a capsule or a S layer or a slime layer, like that it will be present. And internal to the cell wall, there is a one membrane, we have a plasma membrane, and the cytoplasm will be present. So inside the cytoplasm, the DNA is concentrated at a particular location we call as a nucleoid. Then the ribosomes and the storage vacuoles like inclusion bodies will be present. So we will going to discuss elaborately about the flagella which is external to the cell wall. So if you see different structures which is external to the cell wall, the major one is the flagella. Apart from the flagella, one of the part is the pilus, the second most important one, which helps in bacterial conjugation process, that is the transfer of genetic material, it will help. So sometimes the fimbriae will be present, which helps in the attachment of the bacteria to the tissues, and a capsule will be present, a smooth layer you can see in the mycobacterium species, Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So similar to capsule, the seed, prothesia and stalks also may be present. So today we are going to discuss about the flagella. So I have told the flagella is the locomotor organ of the bacteria. So in singular we call as a flagellum. So it is simply a hair-like structure. It's a thread-like locomotor appendages which is extending outside the cell wall. So originating from plasma membrane through the cell wall, it comes out. So this structure we call as a flagella. So it helps in the locomotion. So this flagella is a slender, rigid, cylindrical structure. You can see it will be a slender, rigid and a cylindrical structure generally having a diameter up to 20 nanometer, as small as 2 nanometer to 20 nanometer it will be there, and its length can be around 15 to 20 nanometer. So if we go through its structure in a very fine manner, so this bacterial flagella is composed of three parts. One is the filament, second is the basal body, and third is the hook. So the filament is the long thread-like portion which we can obviously see outside the cell wall. So this filament will from surfaces and from the cell wall, then you can see a thin hair-like structure. Second, this filament can be rotated with the help of a motor-like structure which is present in the basal body. It is embedded inside the cell. And the third is the connecting portion between the basal body and the filament, so which is we call as a flagellar hook. So it links both the things by forming a coupling like structure. It makes an attachment. So this I have shown in the figure. You can see a filament, right, is there. So it's a long structure, it will go outwards. Then a basal body which is embedded in the cell, and a hook which attaches to it, right? So let us little bit understand each and everything in an in-depth manner. So the first one is the filament. The filament is made up of a particular protein called flagellin. So its structure, if you see the filament structure, it is a hollow, rigid, cylindrical structure extending outside the cell wall, right? So this protein, that is the flagellin, is generally having a molecular weight between 30 kilodaltons to 60 kilodaltons. So it varies from species to species. So it's synthesized by simply capping it, extends outwards, and it forms the filament like structure, right? So this filament structure, if you see that sometimes certain bacteria, there will be a covering over this filament. It may be a sheath, or it may be made up of some polysaccharidic layer. So if you see, for example, Bordella vibrio, you can see a sheath which is covering this filament. But certain like Vibrio cholera, it is covered with lipopolysaccharide layer, right? So the second one is the hook. So especially if you see the hook and the basal body, it is completely different from the filament. So the hook is slightly wider than the filament, and it helps in the attachment of this filament with the basal body. And it is made up of different types of proteins. It varies from species to species. And the third one, which is the major important one, which helps in the movement, which acts as an engine for the this filament, is the basal body. So the basal body is the most complex part of this flagellum. So it is generally composed of different types of rings. If you see in a motor, there will be a rod. This rod is rotated with the help of a bearing, with the help of an energy source. So like that, the basal body consists of a rod and four rings. So generally 4 rings will be present in a gram-negative bacteria. If you see in gram-positive bacteria, it carries some 2 to 3 rings. So these 4 rings generally regarded as LP, MS and C ring. So why this name is given LP, MS and C? So the first 2 ring, L and P, is the outer ring, and MS and C is the inner ring. So both are connected with a rod-like structure. So this L ring stands for the lipopolysaccharide. So in a gram-negative bacteria, you can see the cell wall composed of 3 layers. One is the outer membrane, periplasmic space, then a peptidoglycan layer. So in a gram-negative bacteria, a ring will be present in the lipopolysaccharide layer, and the P ring will be present in the peptidoglycan layer. So these 3 rings, L, P, then the MS ring is the plasma membrane ring, which is embedded with the cell envelope. And finally, the C ring will be in the cytoplasmic side, is freely rotating ring 1. So it is generally docked with some protein. So you can see from this picture, so there is an outer membrane. It is a gram-negative bacteria. So the outer membrane is present. So this outer membrane is rich with lipopolysaccharide. So it is called as a L ring, right? So similarly, the peptidoglycan layer is there, so which is called as a P ring. Then in a plasma membrane, we have an MS ring. Then in cytoplasmic side, we have C ring. So this is how it looks like, right? So in gram-positive bacteria, if you see, there are generally 2 rings or 3 rings. So one inner ring will be present in the plasma membrane, that is the M, and sometimes C ring also present. So in outer membrane, it doesn't contains an outer membrane, it carries only a peptidoglycan layer. So the P ring will be present in gram-positive bacteria. So it is better to understand the gram-negative bacterial basal body in depth because the only ring is missing, but other activities are very similar in nature. So for this, the filament has to rotate. The filament can be rotated with the help of a rod. So to rotate this rod, we need ring, the bearing like structure. So the LP, MS and C ring will rotate, the rod will rotate. Because of the rod, the filament will rotate. So the rotor portion, that is the motor, is primarily the rod. So this energy will be provided by some types of proton pump so that this ring will rotate, right? So out of this, if you see, the one of the major protein which helps in the rotation is the Fili-G protein. So this Fili-G protein will interact with other proteins, help in the flagellar rotation. So you can see from this picture, so the L ring is present in the outer membrane, right? And the P ring is present in the peptidoglycan layer. The M ring, that is in the plasma membrane, you can see the M ring is present. Then the C ring is connected or docked with Fili protein, that is Fili-G, Fili-M and N protein, right? So this Fili protein helps in the rotation. How it helps is we can understand in little bit. So for rotating this stator, so there is another protein which is having an important role, that is MOT A and MOT B protein. We call this a motor protein A and motor protein B. So this MOT A and MOT B protein helps in the rotation through the help of spending energy in terms of proton pump. So the proton channel acts between this MOT A and B protein, helps in the rotation of this rod. So this I will show to you. So if see you attach with the M protein, we have a MOT B protein and MOT A protein. So the proton, that is the hydrogen ion present in the periplasmic space, will move outwards, right? This movement is generally helped with the help of the MOT A protein. So this MOT protein along with the Fili protein, it helps in the movement of this proton pump. So this rod portion will started to rotating. If this one rotates, this filament will also started rotating, right? So this is how it works. So if you see, the MOT and the Fili-G protein directly interacts, helps in the flagellar rotation. So the energy is supplied in the form of proton pump in case of the prokaryotes like bacteria. So if you see in humans, in eukaryotes, the energy is spent in the form of an ATP for its movement. Otherwise, a yeast carrying a flagella will having this ATP as a movement, right? So this is the final structure, how it looks like. We have a filament, right? The filament and the basal body is covered with the help of a hook. The basal body carries 4 rings. The lipopolysaccharide, we have L ring. In the peptidoglycan, we have a P ring. Then we have a M ring in the plasma membrane. In the cytoplasmic side, we have a C ring. So the energy is supplied in the form of the proton pump for rotation. The MOT protein and the Fili protein will interact for its movement. This is how the flagellar rotation is happening, right? So if you see, the movement of the bacteria is different types we can see. So we can study the different mechanism of this flagellar movement. So if you see, what is actually happening is that the flagellum is basically work as a swimming device for the bacteria. It is an effective one. So once a bacteria is present inside a layer of a media, which may be generally containing with water, a broth media, so the bacteria compares to its density, the outer one is looks to be more dense, like a molasses. So like a screw cap, we are rotating, the flagella also rotate like a corkscrew. So this helps in the movement. So this clockwise and anti-clockwise movement of this one helps in the movement of the bacteria. So moreover, the bacteria will rotate, will move at a very high speed. So even though it is a thick molasses, it has to spend more energy for its movement. Still, the bacteria moves at a very high speed. So generally, the bacteria can move up to 20 to 90 micrometer per second. So which is almost 2 to 100 cell length of its own. So the bacterial cell of its own length, it can move up to 2 to 100 times per second, whereas the humans, say a 6 feet old humans, can move up to 5 times of its own length. So this much the bacteria will use to move at a very fast rate. So this movement we can compare with like a propeller of a boat, how it rotates and the boat will moves. So the flamen is a rigid structure, like a propeller, it rotates and it causes movement. So this movement will generally rapid in nature. So we have different example to show how fast it moves. For example, the most common bacteria, E. coli, will rotate at a rate of 270 revolution per second, whereas the highest, that is around 1100 revolution per second, is done by Vibrio angelolyticus bacteria, right? So this flagellar rotation direction will determine based on its nutrients ability, everything. So we have different types of bacteria. So later on I will discuss about the classification of bacteria. So one of the two major types, the one is the monotrichous and the peritrichous. Its movement is more or less very easy to understand. So the monotrichous means, mono means single, trichous means the flagella, hair-like structure. So a single flagellar structure will rotate in a clockwise manner. If you view from outside, it looks like a counterclockwise manner. It will move. Once it reverses direction, it tumbles, then it moves away. So this is how the movement occurs. That means you move forwards, then it stops and tumble, then moves reverse. So this you can see from the picture. So it rotates a clockwise, then move forward, then tumble, then move away. So if you see the movement of this peritrichous, peritrichous means the flagella is present throughout the cell wall of a bacteria. So first it forms a bundle, then it rotates in a one clockwise or counterclockwise movement, it moves. So once it wants to stop, it reverses direction. So it comes, the entire trichus will spread away, then it tumbles, then it changes the direction of the movement. So this you can see from the picture. So you can see the entire flagella will be in one direction, it rotates, then moves. Once it reverses the direction, the entire, all the flagella will become separated, it tumbles and reverse the direction of the movement. Apart from this flagellar movement, it has other types of movement, the bacteria. So there are three different types. Further is, one is the periplasmic flagella will help in the movement. Second is the bending movement and the gliding movement. So some bacteria, especially the spirochetes, which is a helical shaped bacteria, so highly flexible filament like bacteria, it's have a special axial filament we generally called as periplasmic flagella. It helps in the movement of this bacteria. So it is otherwise we can call as axial fibrils and endoflagella. The another type is the bending mobility. So some bacteria will bend, especially the spiroplasma. It forms a bend in the cell body, then it will move like similar to that of a fish, right? And third one is the gliding motility. So it glides slowly, especially the myxobacteria and the cyanobacteria or cytophages. So it follows that type of movement. So its movement is even 3 micrometer per second, you can say. It doesn't have any special structure for its movement, right? So this movement of the bacteria is for particular reason. So one of the major reason is the it needs chemical, that means it needs nutrients, otherwise it should move away from the harmful substance. So this we can term as an chemotaxis. So chemo means chemical, taxis mean movement. So let us understand about the chemotaxis. That means the movement of the bacteria is based on the chemicals. So these chemicals may be an attractant, for example a nutrient, or it may be a toxic compound, repellent, a harmful substance. Sorry. So the bacteria can move towards the attractant in search of nutrients. Otherwise, it can move away from the repellent, toxic waste. So these things will be determined by certain receptors present on its surface. We call as a chemoreceptors. So this movement based on the chemical, so we call as a chemotaxis, right? So this chemotaxis, apart from chemotaxis, the bacterial movement may be from other factors also. For example, on the temperature, it is called as thermotaxis. If it is of the light, it is called as phototaxis. Because of oxygen, it is aerotaxis, or osmotic pressure, we call as osmotaxis. So we have different demonstration of this chemotaxis. So one of the simple demonstration of this chemotaxis can be done with a simple generation of a chemical gradient. For example, we will take a capillary tube. So the capillary tube is filled with a gradient of a glucose. So the bacteria needs glucose as a nutrient. So if it dip into a bacterial suspension, after sometimes you can see the bacteria will move towards the higher concentration of the capillary tube because of its attraction. So this number of bacteria which is in the higher concentration of the capillary tube will show the chemotaxis. So apart from this chemotaxis, either it is of because of attractant or a positive chemotaxis, or because of a repellent a negative chemotaxis, will also study it with a petri dish. So what we are doing is we are preparing a semi-solid agar with uniform concentration of the nutrient, right? We inoculate a bacteria at a center. So what happens once it utilizes the food around it, it started moving towards outwards, so it swim outwards, so you can see the diffusion of this bacteria. So this expanded ring of the bacteria identifies the attractant, that is the positive chemotaxis. Otherwise, if you want to study a negative chemotaxis, what we'll do is we will prepare the petri dish. At the center we will keep a repellent chemical, and we will keep the bacteria. What happened is this bacteria will start to move away from this repellent, and it started growing and forms a clear zone around that particular disc, the repellent one. So this tells the negative chemotaxis. So this chemotaxis ability, even it can measure to a low concentration as such 10 to the power 8 millimolar of sugar concentration. This response of attracting concentration or repellent concentration is basically depend upon the chemoreceptors. So the chemoreceptors is nothing but the chemical receptors present on the surface of the bacteria, which helps to detect the attractants or the repellent chemicals. So till now there are many types of chemoreceptors has been identified. Nearly 20 attractant chemoreceptors and 10 repellent chemoreceptors has been identified. So the last portion of our lecture is the classification of the bacteria. The classification based on the arrangement of the flagella. Because each and every bacteria will have a distinct pattern of flagellar distribution. So this distribution sometimes is help in the taxonomical classification of the bacteria, also in the identification of the bacteria. So based on this the flagellar location and the types, we can classify bacteria into four types. One is the monotrichous, second is the amphitrichous, third is the lophotrichous, and fourth is the peritrichous. So in this word, the trichous means the hair-like structure. So the first one, which is the monotrichous, the word itself says the mono and trichous. So mono means single, trichous means the hair-like structure. That means the bacteria will have a single flagellum, right? So if the flagellum is present at one location, we call as a polar flagellum. So if you see the Pseudomonas aeruginosa, so there is a single flagellum present at one end, right? The second one is the amphitrichous. So amphi means both. That means like amphibians which can live in water as well as land. Example is the frog. Similarly, the bacteria with amphitrichous is nothing but it carries the both ends. The flagella will be present in both the ends, right? So there are different examples of these amphitrichous are present. So one of the common example is the We have Aquaspirillum serpens. It is present on the both end, a bunch of flagella. Next is the Lophotrichus. That means a tuft of flagella will be present at one end. So if you see the Pseudomonas fluorescens, there is a group of flagella will be present at one end. So generally it is at one end. So the next is the Peritrichus. Peri means around. That means the flagella is distributed evenly through the full surface of the bacteria. This we can see in the Salmonella typhi. The flagella is present around the bacteria. In E. coli also. So I will think this lecture will be more helpful for you our understanding about the flagella in depth. So you can view my other lectures about the various structures of the bacteria like cell wall, pili, plasmid, etc. So thank you very much. So continuously watch my